Okay, so yeah, we're still trying to figure out this damn problem with the scrambled up screen here. Uh, my specific Awolvision projector. Now, the first one I had, the artifacts and the scrambling was so bad on the screen it was unusable. That got swapped out for the unit I have now. There was a vast improvement in picture quality and the artifacts on screen. Because with this one, there's no artifacts on anything. It's only on when I turn the unit on with my Roku hooked up, because that's where I have it set. But I can set it on anything. I can set it on home page. I can set it on anything. And it is scrambled on startup. Okay? So I was recommended by another Awolvision owner online to try this test, which I'm going to do now. So we're going to turn the projector on. Now, it was running early this morning at 5 o'clock when I was up, so I don't know if it's warmed up or not, or if that has anything to do with it. So we're just going to do this test. So we're going to power on the unit. Now, the main problem with the projector I have now is I'll turn it on and there is a green line across the bottom. A solid green line, and the rest of the screen is blank. When that happens, this remote will not function. No buttons on the remote will function. And only the power button works. And what I'm afraid of is that one day I'm gonna power the unit off and back on to get it fixed, and it's not gonna turn back on. That's my greatest fear, okay? So here we go. We're gonna turn it on. Here we go. Long press. It's random. It's totally random whether it's going to be a scrambled picture. Well, let's find out. Let's find out. So I haven't turned on my DirecTV yet. And I know it's not my switches, because I've tested my switches. You see how long it's taking to come on? So basically I'm getting nothing. Still waiting. So this is set to my Roku. It should be playing my Roku. Okay, so there it is. So now what we're going to do is, if you watch over there, I'm going to turn my DirecTV on. There we go. The blue light came on. Now what I'm going to do is, all the same switches are all hooked up. Everything is the same, and I'm going to switch over to, because one of the people suggested it might be that switch. No, I tested every switch on the market. I spent over $400 testing switches, okay? So now I'm going to flip this over to my DirecTV. No scrambled picture.
We were not.
No scrambled picture.
So it's really unfortunate that story had.
Okay, so you get that, right? There's no problem here. Let me put on my, see, everything's good. This is not any of my switches at all, okay? This is every single time I start my projector up for the last 2 months. It's done this, but 2 months ago, I started it up in the morning and it was fine. And I went, oh, okay, well, you know, maybe there was a software update or something I didn't know about, but as far as I know, you have to manually update them. So that's the confusing part. You know, I've said since the beginning of this Awolvision journey that the end result is what I care about. And if it was only scrambled every time I turned it on, and all I had to do was switch HDMI ports or switch devices or just do anything that seems to like tickle it and make it laugh, I'd be okay. The problem with the unit I have now is that power on, power off thing. When I turn it on, the rest of the screen is blank, and there is a green line across the bottom. When that happens, this remote becomes non-functional. Only the power button works. Now, why that should be, I don't know. I guess the power button has nothing to do with the rest of the software that's involved with all these other buttons, okay? Which tells me it's a software issue. It's not a hardware issue. They don't have like bad capacitors in there that they bought or something like that, you know. That's one of the worst things that you can have is, you know, I think I can tell you there are numerous electronic devices that bought like bad capacitors and things that failed, and that killed the product literally, because they had thousands of units out and they didn't want to recall, you know, 5,000-10,000 units, and after a year all of those capacitors started going bad and it basically destroyed the company. And so I don't think that's the issue with AWOL. I think this is just software. I've talked to the engineer in China and the guy dissed me big time. And I'm like, okay, well, fuck you. I'm not going to help you at all. I was taking temperature readings, ambient moisture readings. I was writing down all this information for the guy. And he basically tried to tell me to swap my fucking cables out. Swap my cables out. That's the kind of shit I expect to hear from Geek Squad, you know what I mean, at Best Buy. That kind of bullshit. Oh, well, plug and unplug all of your, you know, HDMI cables and... Yeah, fuck you, man. Listen, with that first unit, it was so bad. I had a very reliable piece of crap, that first projector, okay, to test every one of my cables in every single situation. And again, I had a TV behind that screen where I could lower the screen. I had a TV there that was a $6,000 Samsung. I got a $5,000 Samsung right there. I mean, I had all kinds of devices. I had the same Roku system hooked up in the next room right over here that I could send the same signal where I was getting artifacts I could send to that TV and had no artifacts. So that's when we figured out, after a lot of research with Sun networks, that they were the problem. They were the problem and they are the problem. Certain satellite signals produce a sine wave looking defect on these screens, and there's nothing that you can do about it. It's going to always be there, and you just have to learn to live with it during those certain times. Unfortunately for me, they're the ones that carry Formula One. My favorite show, and one of the main reasons I bought this projector, you know? So yeah, you can see that. And now, if I flip back to one now, if I switch my, it'll work. Everything's going to be fine. See? It's very predictable in the way that it functions, which, you know, tells me it's a software issue. Absolutely a software issue. Same thing with the 3D thing, okay? If you're watching a 3D movie and you open the tray and you put another 3D movie in and close it, you're not going to continue on as you were. The system basically goes into left-right mode when you do that. And when you go and look at your let me see. Okay. When you go down to 3D, you'll see right now it's off, okay? But what you'll see is you'll see a left-right picture, but your projector will still be saying frame packing instead of side by side. It automatically defaults to that. Okay, again, that is software, because if you flip it, if you take your 3D setting, and what I do is I go over to top and bottom, or that used to be frame of continuous over here, and I don't see that anymore. Oh, there it is. Okay, I would go to frame of continuous and let it switch, and then I would go back to frame packing, and every single time it functions as it's supposed to. But there's no reason why when you just change a disc out, all of a sudden it switches over to side by side, which is not standard. As far as I know, very few countries, very few movies, almost nothing that I could think of uses anything other than frame packing. So I called him yesterday. Steve said I could upgrade to the Pro, no problem. I'm hoping that might solve some problems. I'm not sure that it will or will not because I don't know if the software's been changed, okay? He's been busy at CES. But yeah, this is a continuing problem with this unit, is the power thing. That's what worries me. If I only had to do extra switching, no problem. And everyone that I'm in communication with on YouTube that uses the LTV 3500, the same model I have, non-pro, has exactly the same issues as I have. Exactly the same. And so not everyone has DirecTV. Some of them have Apple TV or, you know, use other streaming devices, okay? But the 3D thing is exactly the same. So yeah, this is software. And I wish that their engineer in China would get his shit together, because once they do that, then they'll have perfection. They'll have perfection, okay? What the picture you're seeing is not the picture that I'm seeing. Again, my phone cannot keep up with the 1 billion colors this thing can produce. And so it just chooses a color fucking randomly, okay? And you can tell that because when I block it, see, that's the blue that the water is that I'm looking at on the screen. It's a light blue. It's not that, okay? It just goes to show you that even my $1,000 iPhone, this is software. This color change, that's software. That's what the camera software, okay? So a lot of expensive devices have software issues and not hardware issues, because everyone knows that, you know, iPhones are fairly reliable when it comes to hardware. But that's software, see? Which is why it ruins all my gaming videos, because it turns them red or blue or whatever the friggin' random color my iPhone chooses to do the video in, okay? So anyway, yeah, that's the Super Bowl update. I'm hoping that the Super Bowl doesn't have a jagged fucking line across it, because that will just be absolutely tragic, because I have people coming over and they'll have a very bad opinion and won't be buying AWOL projectors at that point. Now, no, all projectors do not do that. Okay, all projectors do not have that squiggly line thing, okay? But they also don't look as good. They don't produce the final product that you get with an Awolvision.